Nueces County issues a 60-day burn ban just before spring break. The Undersecretary of the Army is visiting Corpus Christi Army Depot this afternoon. And a Corpus Christi Farfield Model Committee considers hiring competing firms to work together. This is South Texas Midday. I'm Rob Boskamp. Thank you for joining me on this Friday, March 6th. Nueces County officials have issued a 60-day burn ban effective Thursday. It applies to all unincorporated areas of the county. Local officials warned that a combination of high winds and dry brush has created a tinderbox environment where even a single spark can lead to a catastrophic fire. While the ban is in effect, activities like outdoor burning, recreational fires, and open flames are prohibited within unincorporated Nueces County and city parks and beaches. Senator John Cornyn will host Undersecretary of the Army Michael Obadaw at the Corpus Christi Army Depot, or CCAD, this afternoon. Staff at the facility are facing concerns over potential job loss and a shrinking workload tied to the Army's changing helicopter repair strategy. The visit comes as CCAD, one of the military's premier repair centers for helicopters, faces potential impact to its workload. According to an article published in War on the Rocks, more repair work is shifting to private companies, while the Army plans to reduce its helicopter fleet. Corpus Christi's Farfield Model Committee met Thursday to discuss technical aspects of its model for the Inner Harbor desalination plant. Two firms, Hazen and Sawyer and Spheros, were evaluated for their qualifications, with Spheros scoring slightly higher. The committee debated hiring both firms to ensure comprehensive analysis and peer review.
My comment to that is I want to get them both in a room and talk through it and see if there's any agreement on thought. Might be idealistic, but my goal is that if one entity disagrees with some determination from the other entity, they can talk through it and we can all work through it and come to some consensus.
That was Nick Winkleman, Corpus Christi Water Interim Chief Operating Officer. Concerns were raised about having two competing firms collaborate. Future steps include a meeting with the modelers to present their work scopes. In the meantime, committee members analyzed the need for comprehensive modeling of the Inner Harbor and surrounding areas, looking at factors like salinity, tidal influences, and marine vessel traffic. Members emphasized the need for detailed feedback and documentation and suggested using existing data and frameworks to guide the model. They also discussed potential environmental impacts of a proposed plant on the bay's salinity and oxygen levels. The Texas Supreme Court Thursday heard a legal challenge to Cameron County beach closures for SpaceX rocket launches. Texas Public Radio's Brian Kirkpatrick heard the case on the road at the University of Texas Rio Grande Valley in Edinburgh. The plaintiffs include Save RGV and the Sierra Club.
The plaintiffs claim the passage of Texas House Bill 2623 into law, which allows Boca Chica Beach to be closed for those rocket launches, violates the Texas Constitution. Plaintiffs' attorney Marissa Perales argued the Open Beaches Act of the Texas Constitution allows Texans unrestricted beach access.
When the government closes the beach under its HB 2623 authority, it does so at the request of SpaceX, so that SpaceX can take possession of the beach, exclude the public from it, use it as its blast zone for its spaceflight activities for as long as it wants, whenever it wants.
The Texas Attorney General's office argued the law balances the public's right to the beach with the state's interest in furthering the space industry, which benefits Texans. I'm Brian Kirkpatrick in San Antonio.
Layoffs are mounting across the Rio Grande Valley and the manufacturing in northern Mexico it depends on. The Rio Grande Valley Business Journal reports just this year, officials on both sides of the river have announced roughly 4,400 job cuts tied to the manufacturing sector. Much of the fallout stems from two areas: the bankruptcy of auto parts manufacturer First Brands Group and slowing demand in the U.S. auto industry. The latest cuts came Thursday when First Brands announced about 570 layoffs at facilities in Brownsville. That brings the total number of job cuts linked to the company's bankruptcy to more than 1,900 across South Texas and northern Mexico. More than 600 of those jobs are in South Texas. KEDT is in partnership with the Rio Grande Valley Business Journal. South Texas Congressman Tony Gonzalez has ended his re-election campaign. Texas Public Radio's David Martin Davies reports.
Gonzalez posted on social media Thursday night that he will not continue his campaign, but he will serve out the rest of his term in Congress. This comes after Gonzalez admitted on Wednesday to having an affair with a former staffer, which is against House rules. House Republican leaders had called on Gonzalez to end his re-election bid over the scandal. During Tuesday's primary election night, Gonzalez made it into the runoff for the GOP nomination for the 23rd Congressional District, trailing Brandon Herrera, who will now be the party's nominee for the November election. I'm David Martin Davies in San Antonio.
New York's Nasdaq Stock Exchange rang the ceremonial bell live from Alamo Plaza on Thursday for the official launch of Nasdaq Texas. Texas Public Radio's Corey Cook was there.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott and Nasdaq leaders were at the Alamo to ring the bell for the launch, marking the first time for the weekday ceremony at New York's Times Square to take place in San Antonio. Abbott says the bell ring highlights the state's commitment to economic growth.
We're proud that Nasdaq does business and has a location in the great state of Texas, ensuring that Texas is the pathway forward for finance, for capitalism, and Texas will lead the way in protecting capitalism and all that it can achieve in the United States of America.
Nasdaq leaders travel throughout the country several times a year for this ceremony. The bell ring also commemorates the Battle of the Alamo that took place on March 6, 1836. I'm Corey Cook in San Antonio.
New reports find U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement could be moving to close a controversial immigrant detention camp in El Paso. KEDT's Joe Smichael has more.
Lawmakers have called for Camp East Montana to be shut down following what they say are multiple in-custody deaths, unsafe conditions, and serious deficiencies in medical care amid a measles outbreak. The Washington Post reports ICE documents indicate it's drafting a letter to end the facility's $1.2 billion contract at an unspecified date. A spokesperson with the Department of Homeland Security said it was reviewing the facility's contract, but no decision had been made. For KEDT News, Joe Smichael.
Texas politicians are invoking fears of Islamic extremism in recent rhetoric and legal actions targeting Muslim groups. But as Houston Public Media's Natalie Weber reports, for many young Muslims, this attitude is at odds with the welcoming Texas they call home.
It's a Saturday evening during Ramadan, and chicken curry, naan, and rice are on the menu at the Mariam Islamic Center outside Houston. Hundreds of people have gathered here to break their fasts under an American flag and a Texas flag waving in the center's courtyard.
Ramadan is a spiritually grounding month for me. I feel like it kind of redirects my intentions and purpose.
Warda Wine is a 25-year-old Pakistani American who grew up in the Dallas area and moved to Houston for dental school. She brought a Catholic classmate with her to the iftar. This year, the two friends began observing Ramadan and Lent on the same day.
I feel like our generation has been doing a good job of, educating themselves, getting information, seeking information, and kind of making opinions and judgments on their own accord.
But the conversations she's having with her peers are very different from the conversations playing out in Texas government.
The ban on Sharia law in Texas is now strengthened.
In September, Texas Governor Greg Abbott signed a law banning what he called, quote, Sharia compounds, targeting a Dallas area housing development geared toward Muslims. He's also barred a national Muslim civil rights group from purchasing land in Texas. The governor has been joined in his efforts by the state's Attorney General, Ken Paxton, as well as two congressmen from Texas who started something called the Sharia Free America Caucus. Despite these actions, many young Muslims say they still feel welcome here. Later that same Saturday, dozens came to hang out at a Yemeni coffee shop and socialize after breaking the fast. Among them is 27-year-old Aisha Imran, who ordered a caramel macchiato and honeycomb bread.
When people see the truth and how, welcoming people are from the Muslim community, I think all that propaganda goes, out the window, to be honest.
Imran grew up in Massachusetts, where she was one of the only Muslims in her friend group. Here, she feels part of a larger Muslim community. Both Houston and Dallas are known for significant Muslim populations. About 2% of adults in Texas practice Islam, according to Pew Research.
Coming here was definitely a big change. I saw a lot of different groups of Muslims, Arabs, Pakistanis.
Imran says she enjoys the feeling of community that Ramadan brings and believes it demonstrates what Islam is really about: hospitality, devotion, and service.
Yeah, let's go! Let's go!
At a table outside the coffee shop, a group of young men is playing the card game Mafia. 18-year-old Samir Damasi was born and raised in the Houston suburbs. He's aware of the anti-Muslim sentiment from elected officials, but he says he doesn't let it bother him. He loves being Muslim, and he's found his home state to be welcoming.
I think all religions can be peaceful in America. I feel like there's a lot of Muslims here, so we should have the right to, believe what we believe.
And that's a deeply American value, Demasi says, the right to freedom of religion. I'm Natalie Weber.
And that is the latest news and information on South Texas Midday. I'm Rob Boskamp. Your community arts calendar and more is on the way.